Ladies and gentlemen, Bobby Hill's player agent Tom McConville opens up about the Bobby Hill rumours that have been around about in this trade period. It's time to talk all things black and white. What we're about to hear is a piece from the AFL trade period just within the last half an hour. So this will give us some more information on the Bobby Hill situation and the whispers that have been floating around in the AFL world. So just bear with me and we can have a listen. One moment.
Got to ask you about Bobby Hill because I'm sure, as you can appreciate, trade radio, the text machine, SCN, the talkback radio, he's been a huge topic for months around his selection September. But there's been noise around other clubs coming for him. Can you just put Collingwood supporters at ease? He's not going to be a name that bobs up between now and 7:30 p.m. next Wednesday night.
No, definitely not. He'll be a Collingwood player next year for sure. It took us all by surprise, to be honest, when that was reported. It hasn't come from us, it hasn't come from Bobby, and it hasn't come from the club. You know, we're all pretty aligned with wanting to get Bobby back out there and playing his best footy next year at the Pies. He loves the club loves him, we love him at the Pies. So there was really no angle that you could come at this with other than he's going to be there next year.
There you go, Collingwood supporters. Couldn't be more definitive.
Okay, so that's Tom McConville, Bobby Hill's player agent. It just gives us an extra piece of information at this point in time of the trade period where we can reasonably suggest and believe is the word I'm looking for, that Bobby Hill won't be going anywhere, at least for next year. It all stemmed from rumours, and I forget which journo brought it up, but they had indicated that clubs were made aware that Collingwood were quietly shopping Bobby Hill's name. Now, you from that point you go, okay, interesting, and then you hear Bailey Humphrey and Curnow and Butters and everyone else that's a hot commodity right now in the trade period. You go, maybe we are trying to cook something up. This could make sense. And then yesterday we hear that clubs were informed 3 weeks ago that we all have pretty much access to 2026, 2027 first round draft picks, despite whether you used picks or not in the last couple of years. So you could probably assume from yesterday that Bobby was always going to be, or was safe. And he probably was always safe when you factor in that the clubs knew a few weeks ago. We didn't know, so we didn't know any better. And all we can do is speculate, and that is the world we live in. And then you hear this today from the player agent, and then you hear from Leper the other day saying, we're really happy. So the club says, no, we're not shopping him. Player agent says, no, we're not shopping Bobby Hill. And I think now we can truly put to rest the conversations of Bobby Hill's name being thrown up on the rumour mill. And that's good for us as fans, that's good for Collingwood as a club, and most importantly, that's good for Bobby Hill. And by the way, he was also another person in the party that said, I'm not going anywhere. And, you know, with that information, you can take his word for it at that point in time, which was a couple of weeks ago. But back then, there was a lot of unclear air as to what grounds we could believe that Bobby would still be in the black and white next year, when it comes to, you know, when you factor in what's happened this year and where we could have gone in this trade period. So now we have access to picks, so we don't have to touch players like Geordie DeGoey or Bobby Hill or anyone else that you have in your mind. I think we can rest easy. And it's a massive, massive preseason for Bobby Hill. I wouldn't go as far to say he owes the club or he owes the fans. He's just got to get back to work, do his job, show up to work, do it for himself. He owes himself, guys. More than anything, Bobby Hill owes it to himself to fight back and begin this redemption arc. Get into training in the off-season, steer clear of any dramas off-field, and prove to the world and prove to yourself that you are Bobby Hill, you are Mr. Norm Smith, and all will be okay. And he's got a big role. As he gets older, he's going to be a role model at the club for players like for like Will Hayes, who just signed a 2-year contract extension. So he has to be mature and mindful that, hey, I've got to show these younger lads the way. And that transcends the footy world. That Bobby Hill needs to show these kids this is how you operate off field to be a consummate professional, like Pendles, like Sidebottom, like Jeremy Howe. So that's incumbent of Bobby Hill to lead the way. And he's going to be important. While we may not secure any big fish, and he's going to be a real path to goal for the Pies next season. We can't just assume that Jamie Elliott's going to carry the load again and kick 60 goals. That is unrealistic. None of us are here sitting here saying, well, Jamie Elliott better kick 60 goals. No, we need Bobby's 30. We need a goal assist a game. We need the pressure you bring, and we need that ability that you have, this innate ability to just turn it on for 10 minutes, 5 minutes. I remember the Anzac Day game earlier this season. I remember I was talking to a mate. Jeez, Bobby's been quiet this game. And then in the third quarter, takes a massive intercept mark, kicks that crazy goal on the boundary, he bows to the crowd. Like, that's Bobby personified. That's everything we expect from Bobby. We don't panic as a fan base when Bobby's gone missing for 2 or 3 quarters. It's just having that massive impact in the clutch moments. And that's what he does. He does that so well, and that's why he's invaluable. We can try and objectify and put numbers next to his name and say, hey, this is what he's worth. But at the end of the day, you lose Bobby Hill, you're not replacing Bobby Hill. So that's part to it. But we're also mindful this is a business world. I always say this in a trade period. Bear in mind, the preface is this is a business world and anything can happen. So while we love these players and we adore them, we also know that not one player is bigger than the club. And everything's important. Selection integrity, which they upheld, I would say. When fans were screaming out, including myself, to see Bobby feature in the final series, they stuck fat and they stuck to their principles. They said, no, Bobby's been missing. He's not quite there. He's still mentally not in the right place. We can't play him over these other players who have been rocking up on a full-time basis and performing relatively to their level at AFL level. And I don't think anyone sits here and says, oh, if we had Bobby in that prelim, it could have been a different story. I don't subscribe to that, because then we are falling back on the idea that one player changes everything. And while he is that guy, this is contradicting, but while he is that guy who can change the game with one moment, and that one player, he's that one player, there were many other things that didn't go right on the night against Brisbane in that prelim. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section. Are you happy that this can be finally put to bed? I appreciate you all, and as always, go Pies.